Hello class. Today what I'm going to do is we're going to show you how to do 5 different value or shading techniques with pencil. What we're going to do is we're going to put this in our sketchbook, and we want to start out by taking one of these 2.5 inch by 2.5 squares, and we want to trace out 5 square boxes in our sketchbook. This is going to allow us to do each one of these techniques within these square boxes. So just go ahead, trace these out, and we'll see what we can do with this. Now, when we do a lot of these shading, I typically like to use a darker leaded pencil. Right now, I believe I have an HB. A 2B is perfectly fine. Even a 4B is pretty good. If you get any lighter than an HB, like an H, sometimes it's hard to see a little bit of the gradation that you got going on. So I like to go ahead and kind of stick with this. Now, what's going to happen too is this. When we have these boxes, we're going to have to pick a light source, okay? And I'll try to have a light source for each box. In fact, I'll probably try to stay consistent. And I'll go over that here just a little bit. We're going to go get this last one traced out. Boom, and we're good to go. Now, the other thing too is hang on to this square because we're going to be using this when we create our textures as well. Now, our light source, let's say we're going to have our light source be up here. It's upper right-hand corner. I'm going to go ahead and put a little happy sun here. All right, it's going to be shining down on my boxes. We're going to start out with the first one. It's just going to be a simple tortillon blend or a blending stump shade. Okay, tortillon blend. I'm just going to go ahead and label this one. When we do this, you guys, what's going to happen is this. We want to keep the area that's closest to my sun lighter, and it's going to gradually get darker as we get down towards the side here. So what I'm going to do is this. I typically like to take the edge of my pencil and kind of create this far corner a little bit darker. And as I take it and move closer to my lighter area, I'm going to lighten this up a little bit. Now, I do call this a tortillon blend. You can actually call this a nice smooth blend, a little gradation. This is your typical, this is probably the most popular type of blending technique that you'll do. All right, it's kind of fun, it's a little different. We're just going to go ahead and kind of bring this all the way up to the top here. All right, okay. I'm going to go back here and darken it up a little bit more down here. Okay, it looks pretty good. Now, you don't usually need a lot of graphite when you do this. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and leave it like that. Now, I have my tortillon blend, but I'm going to go ahead and forego that real quick. I like to go ahead and use sometimes tissue paper for these bigger areas. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a little tissue paper and just in kind of a circular motion, I'm just going to go ahead and kind of blend this in. All right? And you can see that the graphite that was left on kind of the surface is just kind of pushed down into those little grooves, and you get kind of a nice little blend. Now, when you get to this point too, it's actually not a bad idea to kind of go back and maybe kind of change it up a little bit. You can kind of darken up some areas here a little bit more too. In fact, I kind of look at this, I want to go a little bit darker through here. You can go ahead and kind of add a little bit of that, and that's perfectly fine. All right, you can easily do that. All right. Now, once you got this kind of filled in, if you want to go back in, take your eraser, you can kind of clean up some of the edges a little bit. Like I said, it's not a bad idea. You can even take some of the graphite that's left over on your Kleenex or toilet paper and just kind of smear it in a little bit more, especially get some of those lighter areas, and you should be good to go. All right, I think that's perfectly good for a nice tortillon blend. Now, the next one is going to be stipple. Okay. Now, I'm not going to do this whole thing because it's going to take me a little bit longer to do, but you want to fill this up, okay? Stipple. And we're just going to go ahead once again, farthest away. We want to use a series of dots, all right? And we want to just kind of fill in this dark area with all these dots. Now, a lot of times kids like to take their pencils and they do this. You know, it's not bad, but the dots get kind of small. So sometimes what I do is I kind of just take it and almost make a little circular motion with these dots. And then what's going to happen is as you get farther away, okay, from your shadow, and get closer to your light source, you're going to have more white space show up in between here. And if you look at it, you should have a nice gradation going from dark to lighter. It does get a little tedious. It takes some time. However, it's kind of cool when it's done. All right. So as long as you kind of chip away a little bit at a time, you should be able to accomplish this in no time. All right. It's not bad. Not bad at all. All right. So that's stipple. My next technique is called scumble. It's got a great name. All right. It's going to be down here. Once again, with scumble, it's like an organized scribble. All right, I like to kind of go back and forth when I do my scribble as opposed to circular. It kind of looks a little bit nicer. It's kind of a nice technique too. It shows a little bit of the texture that you can use to create this. Sometimes I use this technique when I want to create the illusion of the leaves in a tree and stuff. So once again, keeping my scribble back and forth, keep it nice and tight, covering up the space, I can go ahead and create kind of this darker region. Okay? okay, this darker value. And then as I get closer to my light source, I let a little bit more of the paper show through, the white of the paper show through, and I lighten up a little bit, okay, just lighten it up. This is a technique that from a distance it looks really cool, and up close, yeah, it looks like a scribble. It's pretty much what you got. All right, and we're just gonna go ahead and kind of maybe go back in, darken up a little bit more of the darker areas a little bit, and really kind of control a little bit of the value in through there, okay? So boom, all right, and that's gonna be your scumble. Kind of just going back and forth like that. The next technique is crosshatch, okay? And to do crosshatch, okay, what we want to do is this. We want to do a series of lines that are parallel to begin with, and then cross them with another series of lines. And then repeat that step like 3 or 4 times. Here's what's going to happen. Light source is up here, okay? I don't want to get too many lines up in this region, so sometimes I put a little bit of a light kind of half circle up here, a quarter circle, I guess. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to start pulling these lines parallel towards that circle, okay? Just kind of fill it out. Just kind of fill it out. All right. This is a great technique too to create shading. If you've got a Sharpie and you don't have a pencil nearby, you can still create the illusion of value, okay? And then I've got my parallel lines. Then what I want to do is I want to go ahead and I just want to cross them. Okay? Just cross these lines up. And what's essentially happening is, guys, more and more of the white space of this box is getting filled in with these cross lines. Okay? So I'm just going to leave it like this, maybe have a few more go a little bit closer to the white spot here. There we go. That looks good. All right. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring it down just a little bit farther to the shadow part, and I'm going to repeat the process. Okay? Okay, but this time I'm not going to go all the way up to my really light area. All right, notice I'm kind of stopping a little short. Okay, and the more lines you put in, the darker this becomes. Okay, the more value you create. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and bring it down once again. Okay, darken it again. Sometimes I press down a little bit harder too. It creates a little bit more of a shadow. Now, one thing that does happen with this technique is as you do this more and more, okay, you start to kind of see distinctive areas where these values kind of stop and end. So I sometimes add a few more lines in here to create kind of almost a smooth transition. And I'm going to do one last one, okay, just right on the edge here. Right on this back corner where it's going to be nice and dark. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and kind of go over it again. Boom. All right, and that should be pretty good. You should have a nice value gradation going from dark up to a lighter one, okay? It's going to kind of fill in a few more here and there. No reason why you can't go back and kind of add a few more lines just to kind of finish it off, okay? Just to finish it off. All right, that looks nice. Now, the last technique is called eraser lift, okay? I really like this technique. It does take a little prep, but what's going to happen is this. You're going to go ahead and take the side of your pencil, all right? And you want to make sure you use the edge of your pencil. Use a nice sharp pencil, too, when you do this. And you want to put a layer of graphite down. Now, I'm not pressing down too hard. If you press down too hard, guys, that graphite will get inside the little grooves of your paper, and you won't be able to erase it because you want to make sure that you can erase some of this. This is what's going to be what I call your medium value. Okay? If you looked up here, your medium value would be kind of in the middle there. All right, that's what we're creating right now. Then sometimes I go ahead and I kind of cross it a little bit, kind of cross hatch these shadows a little bit. Okay, so I've got that. Now I'm going to take my toilet paper and I'm just going to circular motion smear it in, kind of like we did with the first one. Okay, and you want to create almost like a box. It almost looks a little bit like a foggy day or some smoke billowing up right in the middle here, okay? And you want to have this technique, and that's going to be your medium value. Then we're going to take an eraser and our highlight, okay? We're going to go ahead and pull out this lighter region, okay? I almost sometimes do kind of a circular, or once again, that kind of quarter circle kind of technique, just kind of pull this down a little bit, have that going on here. I press down a little bit more, pull a little bit more with that. And then sometimes I can take my dirty Kleenex and just kind of go back over this and get that nice little transition. Now, you need to go back though, use your pencil now to create darker region. So I'm going to go back in here, kind of darken up this region. So this is just kind of a different technique to kind of work as far as getting that nice smooth gradation. All right, it's very similar to the first one, but just it has like a few different steps, a little different process. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and circulate that in here. Very nice. Okay. And you should have a nice smooth gradation going from dark to light. All right, I'm going to go ahead and call this one eraser lift. All right. All right, so there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We have our 5 different values. Once again, they're going to go in your sketchbook. And when you are done, please make sure that you do take a photo of these and we'll submit them to Schoology. Thank you very much.